It's Candace with the K here, where I normally talk books, beauty, and kicks. Today, I'm recapping the 3 books that I was able to read this January. If you are interested in those 3 books, please keep watching. So I have set the goal to read at least 35 books this year. So that is roughly 3 books a month. And so I have met my January goal of reading 3 books. So the 3 books that I read this month are Dear Haiti, Love Alaine by the Moulite sisters. I hope I'm saying that right. Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, and Black Buck by Mateo Askaripour. I hope I said that right too. So those are the 3 books, and so I'm going to get into my review for each one. First up, I finished Dear Haiti, Love Alaine, and basically this is a story about a young girl whose family got intertwined in some Haitian superstition / voodoo, and after getting in trouble, she was sent to Haiti, which kind of pushed her into trying to reverse the curse on her family, specifically to help her mother, who was battling with dementia. That is a very rough summary of the story. I do advise you to read it on your own, but I would say this was actually a very cute, good book. Like, this is definitely for young adult audiences, but I think anybody could read it, and I'm always a fan of young adult books, so I think it was good. One thing that this novel did that is not common in most novels is that it took a mixed media approach, if so to speak. So some of the text is not just paragraphs, some of it is written in the form of letters, news clippings, text messages, emails, things that aren't conventional in a novel. I thought that was a very good idea from a writing standpoint, because it offers the reader just some variety in the text, and it's not so just, pages and pages of words. I think the Moulite sisters, I hope I'm saying that right, probably have a promising career as a writer. I know they released a follow-up novel just this month, January, I believe. And so that is on my TBR list. Speaking of TBR, if you don't follow me on Goodreads, the link is down below. So make sure that you friend me on Goodreads so we can be together. So all in all, I give this book maybe like a 3.5, 4 stars. I think it was a very slow start, but that is because it was giving you a lot of history on Haiti. It was giving you a lot of background story, and I think once the story picked up, it got a lot better. I did enjoy it, so I'm not going to say that it's bad, but I do wish it was like kind of leaving me wanting more. Definitely learned more about Haiti than I had previously knew, and I will probably have to revisit this book to kind of like absorb all the Haitian information, but it definitely made me excited to potentially one day visit Haiti if I'm ever given that opportunity. So the second book that I finished this month was Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas is, of course, the author of The Hate You Give, which was New York Times bestseller that eventually went on to produce a movie. She also had The Come Up, which is also a good one. So Concrete Rose is the prequel to The Hate You Give. So just in case you haven't read The Hate You Give yet, I would advise you to read Concrete Rose first and then go to The Hate You Give, because then it just connects all the dots of the story. So basically, Concrete Rose, like I said, is the prequel where it follows Maverick Carter and his life as being a teenage father and the things that he had to deal with living in the garden, specifically around gang violence, drugs, and just struggling as a teenage parent. What this book does is it really paints the picture of how the relationship between Maverick and Lisa comes about, that we see in The Hate You Give, but also the tensions that we see in The Hate You Give between Maverick and King. So it really offers just a longitudinal insight. As far as the quality of this book, it does what it's supposed to do. serving as a prequel. It was definitely on my most anticipated books of the year because I really like Angie Thomas and I like her work. Now I feel like I have to revisit The Hate U Give just so that I could further put the dots together. But nonetheless, it's a good read. It is, I believe, categorized as a young adult book, but I think because of some of the themes and topics, as well as the use of a few curse words, that I don't think it's particularly for like a 13 and under, maybe high school age or, you know, older. But I think it's definitely a good read. So I believe I gave this book 4 stars. And lastly, I just finished up reading The Black Buck by Mateo Askaripour. This book is crazy. So essentially it follows the life of Darren and his fulfillment of self and coming into who he's supposed to be, but his ascension is really wild. He ends up working on a sales floor, being a salesperson, and it kind of just gives you the full character arc of like good to bad to good. It's like good to bad to good. This book was described as The Wolf of Wall Street, but in black, and I think that's a perfect summation of what this book entails. It's very crazy. It's a lot happening. It's a lot going on. It's a lot of wealth, money, drugs, sex, power, that whole dynamic. But it really sheds light on the way that race interplays in the greater workforce, as far as how you see just, you know, being the sole Black person in white spaces. It provides great perspective on that. It provides the perspective of also when one of our own tends to succeed, how the community itself kind of ends up being either left behind, or there's, you know, that creative tension that happens there. There were a lot of underlying points that were made in the book that I felt were just very spot on to the Black experience, be it male or female, man or woman. So I thought that was really interesting. I recently watched a brief clip of Mateo on the Today Show, and they said that they're thinking of turning this particular book into a television series. And I am actually ecstatic for this possible transition because I think it would be really good. If it's turned into a series, it has to be on an HBO or a Showtime or something like that. It can't be on just your regular cable, because it needs to be the raw, like uncut versions of things. Like I want to see it how I visualized it as I was reading, and regular cable is not going to give you that. So I'm excited if this actually comes to fruition, because I think it would be really good. It was also in that clip where he announced that he is now a New York Times bestseller, and that is awesome. It is amazing, because I think this book is really good, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So those are the 3 books that I was able to read this month. If you have book recommendations or suggestions, be sure to put them in the comments. Make sure you follow me on Goodreads or friend me on Goodreads, and also follow my reading page, Bookstagram page, wherever we call them these days, Candace with a K Reads. I tend to post all of my completed books there. On Goodreads, you'll be able to track my progress of what books I'm reading. I'm currently got an advanced copy of the sequel to The Coldest Winter Ever, which is called Life and Death. And so I hope to be finished with that for February, so I can give you all the tea on that, because that is probably one of the highly anticipated books of this year. And I am just hitting the cusp of it. So I hope to give you all that next month. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, thumbs up this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.